folks. Allow me to introduce the wonderful David Morrell. Mr. Morrell is part of PandaPay, which is the payment processing platform. He's landed coverage in print with the Ottawa Business Journal and OEL. His knowledge and experience have had him being awarded 4 times Sales Representative of the Year at PandaPay. In 2019, his team was the Team of the Year in sales. So he knows what he's talking about. And he currently partners with over 500 organizations across the country and in almost every industry. David, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Bernie, and thanks Connect Ottawa, Margaret Ann, and everybody that's on this call and anybody that'll be listening on live. One of the biggest things I run into here at PandaPay, and I've been in the industry for 14 years now. Before this, I was with one of the competitors, helping them grow their business. And one of the things I noticed, and I've always noticed, is people don't know enough about what they're actually purchasing. What are they actually buying? What are they getting? What is the service I actually pay for with credit card processing? Let me give you a little background history, because I want to make this not so much about a presentation, but about gathering and giving you guys information to be able to make informed decisions, okay? So depending on how long you've been in business and what kind of business you're in, credit card processing is very confusing, okay? It can be very confusing for somebody that's starting up a retail location. Do they need to have online? Do they need to have virtual terminal? Do they need to have e-commerce? But one of the things that will remain consistent is the cost, okay? So I'm going to show you the cost. I'm going to show you a couple of different samples of the statements, but I want everybody to know there is no cookie cutter approach in this industry. That is one of the biggest things I have to deal with on a regular basis, is how do I help this particular client understand what they need and what they're actually paying for? An e-commerce site is much different than a physical terminal in your hand. And just by the premise that it's online, it's riskier. There's people that all over the world can basically access your information or access your website and order something. What do you have to know? And what do you have to deal with? And what do you pay for when you do that? There's also industry-specific issues. So here's what I'm going to say to Connect Ottawa. And if anybody, I don't know if they can do this, Denny, on the Facebook Live, ask me questions as we go. I like interaction. Anybody can ask me questions. But on the Facebook Live, if they have questions, Denny, cut off and bring it in, okay? But here's what most people don't know, okay, about credit card processing. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you something that nobody in our industry wants me to show you. Okay. In the beginning, PandaPay executives were like, do we want to do that? And I'm like, yes, we do. And here's why. When I was published in the Ottawa Business Journal, and I'm going to grab it out here because I happen to have a copy real close by, or I did. Maybe it's over here. I want to grab it because it's important. Here it is. So I was in the Ottawa Business Journal, okay? This Ottawa Business Journal was all about one thing, me being able to ask a question. And I asked a question, and here's the question I asked. And I'm going to get to it. It's how many people understand, do you believe, the question I asked is, do you think you're getting a fair price for credit card processing? Okay, so I asked that question because of exactly what we're going to talk about. Most people don't know what they're paying for. They don't know what they're reading on their statement. And here's the response I got from 200 plus executives in the Ottawa area. I don't know. So good for them for being honest. 34% said, I don't know. 51% said no, but I know I'm paying too much. And then 15% said yes, and it's fair. So out of 200 plus executives in the Ottawa area, 85% of them either knew they were paying too much, but didn't know how to change it, or just didn't know whether or not they were paying too much, which is the same thing in my opinion. This is what we do different at PandaPay. All of our representatives are taught right from the beginning to show people what they need to know. So here we go. I'm going to share the screen. Denis, if you have any questions on the live, feel free to ask, okay? But this is a document most people don't want you to ever see. And this is a PandaPay created document, but it's based on information from Visa and MasterCard. There is a price. It's called the Canadian Interchange Guide. It's legislated by the FCAC. They work, the federal government, we're federally regulated, works with Visa and MasterCard and issues a cost, okay? I'm not going to go into all the numbers. That's what I do in my meeting with people, but I just want everybody to know there's a standard cost for every single credit card in Canada. It doesn't matter how many credit cards you have in your wallet, and I have, I think, 5. But as an example, this is a Visa Infinite. The Visa Infinite is this card right here, okay? There's also your MasterCard World, which anybody who has a Costco card has a World card. There's your regular MasterCard, which is probably the first credit card you ever had. And then there's those funky ones like the MX. So there's lots of cards out there, okay? So with that being said, most people don't know there's a different rate for every single card, okay? So a Visa Infinite is, as an example, 157. A consumer regular Visa is 125. Most of the people that I meet never knew that. They didn't know that there was a different way. Now there's also a couple of different ways you can take the transaction. Why do I tell you this information? Because it's real important in regards to when I show you an actual statement, you're going to start seeing these numbers. And I'm going to make the numbers a little bit bigger so everybody can see them. Okay, everybody can see that. Yes, I know for all the people wearing glasses, like I probably should, and eventually I will have to. Okay, so there's that 157 on a Visa Infinite, but that's only when the card's present. So the card's been stuck in a machine. You take that exact same card and take it over the phone or over the internet, and it's 165. So the cost changes based on how you take the transaction. Now, here's another thing. You take that transaction and key it into the terminal, it's the most expensive it can be, okay? These are the things that we teach our clients at PandaPay is solution is not just the rate. A rate can be a rate, okay? But as an example, MasterCard down here has the same thing, okay? It has the cost of each credit card. There's your Costco card, your World Costco card, okay? You'll look at your Costco card, it says World on it. If you stick it in the machine, it's 166, okay? Contactless, card present, so tap, okay? Chipped in, stuck in the machine. Virtual terminal, keyed in terminal right here. Look at this, keyed in terminal, it's 230. So just as an example, you take a transaction in the machine, it's 122. You take a transaction keying it into the terminal, it's 2.3. And I didn't charge you anymore as a processor. Who charged you more is the credit card company. Okay. Now, like I said, why do I show you all this? Because it doesn't matter who you deal with out there in the world. If you're with Chase, Desjardins, Global TD, Moneris, PandaPay, Square, everybody has the exact same cost. But there's a couple of things most people don't know. These 2 cards are the 2 most common cards in Canada. The rest of these are taken, but not taken very much. About 1% of the cards are right here. These 2 are 99% of the cards. So that's why I can look at a statement and very quickly know how you're doing transactions and what kind of clientele you look at or what kind of clients you deal with and how you're actually taking the transactions. I can go into a retail location and see a bunch of keyed in terminal. Then I know that you're not taking the credit card, sticking it in, you're taking it on the phone or you're taking it mail order or the client, you know, you're putting yourself at risk. So those are some of the things I look at, okay? But I'm going to go over 3 of the most common statements, and I'm going to show you a PandaPay statement just so you can see the difference, okay? One other thing I want everybody to know is depending on your industry, you can get a lower rate directly from Visa and MasterCard, which most people out there, if you're eligible for that rate, you're not getting it because you haven't been coded properly. It's called the MCC codes. So very simply, there's a bunch of businesses. If you're these types of businesses, you're supposed to get special pricing. And for Bernie, and I know I've already told him, charities, I do a lot of charities. So I make sure they get coded as a charity so that they get the preferred pricing. And just so you guys know, charities rate is pretty low. It's right here. Now on Visa, it's very, very low. Okay, so Visa normal card 125, charities is 0.80. This is how I was able to help out Habitat for Humanity in Atlantic Canada, because just knowing these rates, and that's what a professional knows. If you talk to your representative and they don't know anything about the interchange guide, you're talking to the wrong person. You're talking to somebody that doesn't know. They're given a rate and just told to go sell it, okay? If they don't know what the interchange guide is and they don't know what a Visa Infinite keyed in cost, they're probably not the person you want to be talking to because they're just selling a rate, okay? And we don't do that at PandaPay. So here's the most common statement, one of the most common statements in Canada. It's a Chase Payment Tech statement. Why do I say it's one of the most common? They have the largest contract in Canada known as CFIB. And it's actually the organization I used to work for. CFIB, Canadian Federation of Independent Business, is the largest lobby support group in the country, and this is their pricing. So you'll notice they have what's called a discount fee, and then they have an assessment fee, and then they have a non-qualifier fee. This pricing model is very old school. It's called interchange differential pricing. Now they've since changed it. I just want everybody to know out there, CFIB did make a change finally, and they went to cost plus, and the cost plus that they went to was 0.20, which is what we've been selling for 6 years, just so everybody knows, okay? So, but by law in Canada, on your statement, when you're looking at a statement, they have to show you every single card you took and how did you take that card. So right there is where I see a Visa Business Standard. They keyed it in. A Visa Consumer Standard. So this client right here for 11,000 transactions keyed it in. So they ended up paying a lot more for that transaction, 20 basis points more just because they keyed it in. And there's a Visa Infinite Standard, keyed in a lot as well. So this is one of the solutions I would come up to the client with right away and say, why are you keying everything in? You're costing yourself more and there's nothing Chase can do about it or I can do about it. You're just the way you're running your transactions, right? So that's some of the things that your statement can tell you, okay? I'm going to show you another pricing model. This is called Desjardins, and Desjardins Bank was famous for putting in tiered or flat pricing, as it's called. It's called a flat rate. And it happens to be a flat tiered because these two numbers are different. So every single Visa this client was taking was costing $175. Every single MasterCard was $194.7. This is called flat pricing. You look at a statement from Desjardins today, this is very, very high compared to what we would be at. Most of my clients would be paying 1.4 to 1.6 on a MasterCard and pretty close to on the Visa. Here's the other thing. Most transactions are done in Visa here in Canada. 77% of transactions are done by Visa. So Visa, when you look at your statement, you can tell on a Visa statement whether or not you're getting a good rate or a bad rate because you can see most of your volume. I'm also going to show you guys something really important to look at on your statement. Like I said, continue to ask questions if you guys have them, if you see something that looks familiar. But here's a global statement, okay? A global statement is quite confusing, but here's all the batch closes each day, how much volume they ran and stuff like that. That's very basic information. But this is where it gets very interesting. They have what's called interchange differential pricing, but they make it look like flat. What I mean by that is they're charging this client 2.54% for every single Visa they're taking, plus. And I'm going to show you how that kind of figures out in the end. And the quickest way to know whether or not you're getting a good rate and the quickest way to know whether or not you need to talk to a professional about your rates, okay? This client, I'll show you why she talked to me and why we ended up saving her $30,000, because she didn't know there was a lot of different fees on a statement, okay? There should be typically five different things, maybe 6 different things on a statement that are pretty standard across the industry, and I'm going to show them to you. So the first thing is there's usually a Visa rate, there's usually a MasterCard rate, there's a MasterCard assessment and a Visa assessment. What is that? So just so everybody knows, this percentage 2.54 and 2.47, that goes to the bank that issued the credit card. And in this case, it goes to the processor, and the bank keeps the difference on the interchange, meaning they get the interchange, the bank gets the rest. And in this case, Global Payments would have made a lot on this account, okay? Why do I say that? This Visa that they were charging $254 for only cost $125. This Visa assessment fee, it's 14.9 is what they were charging, but it only cost 0.09. So just so you guys know, all of these fees go to the bank that issued the credit card. This fee goes to Visa, this one and this one. So this is the foreign transactions. So you're always going to see on a statement these fees, and you're always going to see a card brand fee. Visa has to get paid, the bank that issued the credit card gets paid, and the difference goes to the processor. Okay, so that's global statement. Now there's a couple other things you need to be aware of on a statement. There's things like PCI fees. What is that? It's the payment card industry fee. It's basically, just so you guys know, a fairly new fee. For most of you that don't know, 2016 Target was hacked. It was a big hack, and it caused a lot of issues in the credit card industry here in Canada. And that's when PCI compliance became a very, very important factor. Okay. So they started looking at ways, and they have an actual committee in Canada. And typically it's the members of the credit card industry that sit on the board, and they sit on this board and determine how they're going to keep things like fraud from happening in the credit card industry. How are we going to protect your credit card information? They charge you for it. I just want everybody to know they do not charge $128 for it or $120. We actually charge our members $11.65 a month for PCI compliance, and we have a compliance officer that takes care of it. Now, when people are looking at their statement and see other charges, what is this? This is other fees that the credit card processor in this case is charging you. So this processor was charging a lot of fees. It's a global statement. We're pretty used to it. But then you see another section where there's other fees, authorization fees, settlement fees, PCI non-fees, push fees, annual fees. A lot of these fees, I'm just going to preface this, they do not exist. There is an authorization fee. If you're taking it through a terminal, it's 3 cents, which is right here. If you're taking it online, it's 10 cents. But a lot of these other fees, this settlement fee, that's a batch close fee, we charge 5 cents for it. They happen to be charging 25 cents for it. Push fee, it doesn't exist anymore as Split Global. It's basically they're giving you your money. They're charging you $10 to get your money once a month. And the Edge annual fee, a lot of companies, we have an annual fee. Ours is $80 a year. This customer was paying $36 a month. So a big difference. We are $667 a month. They're $36 a month. So these are the things I will look for on a statement that most people don't know. Is this common? Does this make sense? Because here's the thing about your statement and why you don't understand it. Nobody wants you to understand it. And that's what a professional at PandaPay will come in and do, is sit down with you and say, hey, let's look through your statement. If you're getting good rates, we'll tell you. But if you're not, I'm going to explain how. This client, I was able to easily explain why they were being charged so much every month. Because you'll notice they actually had a fee twice. PCI fee right here, admin fee and non-commission fee. They were being charged $120. Then down here, they were being charged another $25. These are the things I look for on a statement, and these are the things you should be looking for. I'm going to show two other statements, and I'm going to come back to this one because this one is a prime example of why I do my job and why I love my job, because I'm able to save people a lot of money just by knowing what all of these things should be and are. Okay, this is a Monero statement. This is a Monero statement. See where you see the 125, the 142, and 157? Not sure if that looks familiar, but let me show it to you again. It's right here. 125, 145, 157. Okay. Why you're seeing that is this is a Monero's cost plus statement. So there's the cost. These are the cards this customer actually took. And then this is what they were charged for the assessment fee, Visa assessment, MasterCard assessment. And then this is what the processor was taking. So anybody that knows my rate that the standard rate for Connect Ottawa members is 0.20. This guy wishes he was a Connect Ottawa member because he's paying 0.57. He's paying 157% more than he has to. And now his volume's not big, but he just started. There's a couple other things you want to look for on your statement. How much are you being charged for your rental? If this doesn't say rental here, there's only two other ways you can own your equipment. You could have bought it outright, which Costco does a lot and puts you on high rates with Elevon, okay? Or you leased it. So if you think you're renting it and it doesn't say rental on your statement, you're leasing it. And that's how a lot of people get stuck in a lease that they didn't even know they had. They thought they were renting it. You can be rent to owning, that's a lease. Okay? So that's one of the things to be aware of. An account service fee, everybody has a monthly fee. Theirs is $7.50 on this statement. This guy was paying admin fee $15, so it's just all over the board. Here's what a PandaPay statement looks like, okay? So this is how very clear our statement is. And this picture is not, but this is how clear our statement is. This is the batch close. This is what my client did for transactions in a month, okay? The days they did, how much volume, how many transactions, what I charged them, and what cards they took. So they know exactly what they're being charged. And then down below is the fees for whatever they did, monthly fee, okay, authorization fees, assessment fees. I just blacked it out, okay, because this client happens to do, as you can tell, a lot of volume, so they have preferred pricing with us, but that's important, right? So with all of that being said, any questions? Because I'm going to show you the quickest way to know whether or not you're paying a fair rate or not. And when I show you guys this, it is standard and put into law as a guideline. They have to show it to you on your statement. So let me just kind of stop sharing for a second, see if we have any questions. No questions so far. Okay, perfect. What I'm about to show you is literally the way you're going to be able to manage your statement moving forward before you give it to your accountant, okay? You're going to look one spot on your statement every day or every month and you go, okay, I'm good. Or I'm not good. I need to get David in and look at my statement closer and see why I'm paying this rate, okay? So what I'm going to show you is secret squirrel stuff they don't want you to know about. There is a spot on every single statement. I'm going to show it to you on a TD statement because it's easy to see, but I'm going to show you on other statements where you can find it as well. The FCAC guidelines state the effective merchant discount rate must be on every statement in Canada. A lot of times they try to skirt it, they try to hide it, they try to make it in different places, they try to make the font small. Basically, they don't want you to look for it, okay? This is called the effective merchant discount rate. What it encompasses is every card that you took that's a Visa, on average, you paid 1.986% for. Every MasterCard you took, on average, you paid 2.082. So this customer, in my opinion, was paying way too much. And I'm going to show you in a second when I show you it on PandaPay statement why I think that, okay? So this client had interchange differential pricing. Anybody that wants to have a meeting with me to look at their statement, I'm all for it. But needless to say, this customer thought he was paying good rates. Now here's the reason. When he looks at this and sees 1.98 or 2.8, he's thinking, that's not bad. I used to pay 4. I used to pay 10. There's a lot of businesses in Ottawa that have been in business for a very long time, and they get these statements every month because by law they have to. But a lot of these statements have started going online. So you don't look at this number because the prices have been going up for the processors. The fees have been getting more and more and more, and they blame it on Visa and MasterCard when it's actually the processor, okay? So this is called the effective merchant discount rate. When I was with CFIB, the Retail Council, CFIB, and Restaurant Canada were fighting for this to be on a statement. They were also fighting for a detailed description of all of it, and they finally got it. November 18, 2014, the federal government put into law that on your statement, the effective merchant discount rate must be on there. It tells you on average what you're paying for that transaction, okay? Why is it important? You can look at this very quickly and know whether or not you have a good rate. I'm going to show you another one, okay? So Moneris, okay? Moneris is right there. Visa 2.04, MasterCard 1.84. It's literally one of the first places I look when I see your statement. I'll go looking for it and go, oh, okay, I know what I'm about to see once I see that number, because it tells me whether or not you're high or low. And you guys will figure out in a second when I show you what PandaPay's average client pays that this is high, and so is the TD, okay? Global, I'm going to show you the global one. And then I'm going to show you the PandaPay one, and we'll take questions. So for anybody that can't see, I'm going to make that slightly bigger and move this page over. And now you can understand why this client went with me. When I looked at this page, I said, oh, okay, I got to dig deep. I got to see what's going on because they're getting absolutely hammered. 5.29, 6.7, 4.1, 2.6, 5.1. This is crazy pricing. This is thousands of dollars being charged to this client. There's all the fees they were being charged, okay? So I can look at an effective merchant discount page and very quickly know how much I'm going to save somebody. I do want to show you the Chase Payment Tech. They put in a very unique spot. It's right here. See how it's different on every statement? Very hard to see that one, but I'm going to show it to you. There it is, 1.86. And I'm on MasterCard. If you go looking for it, there it is, 2.38. Now that can be misleading. That's why I have to look. You have to have somebody that knows the interchange guide to know whether or not that's good or bad. And here's why I say that. What if that client that's paying 2.34 is taking a bunch of business cards, which the cost is 2%? Then 2.3 to 8 is not a bad rate. They've got their cost of the processor, they've got the card or the business card. So we got to look at the whole picture, okay? Here's the PandaPay statement, and I'll show you our effective merchant discount rate for this client. And this client would be a normal client at PandaPay because the cost is 20 basis points, which is a normal rate. So on MasterCard's 1.5, and on Visa 1.64. Okay, I don't include the prepaid because this is very small transactions. This is the bulk of their volume, 1.5 to 1.65. So when I see somebody paying over 2.1, I know in my head I'm probably going to end up saving them. Now I have to look closer before I put my foot in my mouth, but I have to look. Now that is the quickest way for anybody to know whether or not they're getting a good rate. Look at your statement, look for the effective merchant discount rate, and if it's anything above 1.95, get me to look at the statement or get a professional to look at the statement, because the reality is in today's pricing, what most people don't know is Visa and MasterCard in Canada are competing for your business as a business owner. They've been going back and forth for about 10 years with their rates. Visa went down to 142, then MasterCard went down to 144. MasterCard just recently went down to 0.92 for a regular MasterCard. Visa went down to 125. They've been going back and forth for about 5 years to lower their interchange guide. Here's the problem. The rates continue to go down from Visa and MasterCard, but they are not being passed on to the business owner, because what the processor does is they keep the difference. The rate goes down internally, but they never gave you a price difference. That is what PandaPay fixed 6 years ago. We brought out cost plus pricing. If the cost from Visa and Master goes down, it automatically gets passed on to my clients. We only do cost plus pricing at Canada. In Canada, we only do cost plus pricing at PandaPay now. 99% of our clients are cost plus. Funny enough, we have a couple of clients that wanted to be on a flat rate. They just wanted to know what the rate was going to be all the time because they were used to Square or they were used to whatever. Plus, it was easy for accounting. I know I'm always being charged 2.25%. Sure, okay, fine. If that's what you really want, we'll do it. And we can, but we don't like it because it means we're going to end up getting a lot more money than we probably should have for that account. But that's what clients will ask for. That's PandaPay processing. That's a little bit of understanding of your statement. Anybody that wants me to come in and go over their statement a little bit closer and understand all of the idiosyncrasies, there is a lot that, just so everybody knows, it takes over 3 weeks for our reps to be trained just how to do that, what I just showed you in a half an hour.
Wow. Well, you know, yeah. It's very in depth, David. And I think being a small business owner for me years ago and owning a bar and having to deal with this, what happens, I think, for just some small business people, right? You know, you get in, and because it's like a foreign language, trying to understand it, you just know that you need to be able to accept it. So you start the process, it might be leasing. And when somebody comes in and offers a solution, it's just like sometimes like maybe it's just too overwhelming. But, you know, seeing you do this demonstration, it's like, you know, it really is worthwhile people to look at this. So if you're watching this, and the clip I will definitely share with some people I know, because we're losing so much money just to
Margaret, I have literally saved business owners in the Ottawa area over, hi, beautiful. Thanks for my coffee. I've saved business owners over the last 6 years in just Ottawa over $2 million in fees, just by explaining the fees. Over $2 million have been put back into the pocket of business owners because I've described it. And I will give you guys a very short story. One of my biggest successes in this industry since the day I started was getting cost plus accepted. Cost plus pricing did not exist before PandaPay. It existed, but nobody was selling it because it meant that the credit card processors, which are typically owned by the banks or affiliated with the banks, don't make as much money. And that's why PandaPay became the largest, because we actually go in and sit down with the business owner and say, here's your statement, here's what you're paying, here's what you could be paying. Would you like to keep the difference in your pocket, or are you okay giving it to Moneris, which is owned by Royal and BMO? And a lot of times they're like, no, I want it. I'm like, yeah, good, because you deserve it. You worked your butt off for it, okay? And I want to take one other moment to mention this too. One of the reasons why I love what I do is I have two parents that own small businesses. Here's the reality. When I walk into a business, I don't think I'm walking into a business. I'm walking into somebody's life, because this is what they do. And I'm not going to say 9 to 5, because there isn't a damn business owner out there that works 9 to 5. If they do, they will not be in business for long. They work 6 until 6 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11. When we started PandaPay, I worked from 6 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. My parents, I get it from my parents. My mom owned a maid service and my dad was a painter for 40 years, okay? I understand small business owners have a life, and that running a business is hard. Here's why. That painter, that maid, they know how to clean a house. They know how to paint a house. They know where to buy the paint. They know the best paint to buy for. That's the expertise that somebody's paying for, is they're paying for the expertise. of knowing how to put paint on a wall and not get it all over the floor and all the other stuff, okay? And here's how most business owners start. And anybody out there that's on, on Facebook Live, or anybody that's going to watch this video can come back to me and dispute it with me all day long, but I know this is how it happens. Somebody comes up with a fantastic idea. I want to be a retail shop selling flowers. Okay, where do I want to sell? What flowers do I want to get? Where's my counter? How's my employees? What am I doing? The last thing they think about is me. I'm literally the last person. Nobody, PandaPay, never heard of you. Why have you never heard of me? Because I haven't been in through your door yet. I haven't talked to you. Nobody's referred me to you yet. But here's the thing. Here's what they do. They start their business, the bakery, the flower shop, and they get it all up and going. Well, where did they get the money typically? They get it from the bank. And what did the banks do? They have a deal with the other payment processors, which are my competitors, and say, hey, just go over to Monaris. So Royal and BMO will do that. HSBC, CIBC, and National will say, go to Global. Desjardins will say, go to Desjardins, which now actually, funny enough, was just bought by Global. TD will say, go to TD. Scotia will say, go to Chase. They all have a deal with a processor. And when they have that deal with the processor, here's what happens. We don't have a deal with the bank. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I've never talked about PandaPay Bank because we don't own a bank, okay? We can't afford a bank because banks are super expensive to start. If I started 200 years ago, maybe we'd be okay. But today we don't own a bank, okay? Here's the problem with that. They get a piece. They refer them to them and they get a piece of that action for the rest of the time that account's open. If you think it's not true, it's true because they own most of the processors and they have deals with most of the processors. I have no problem with a bank. I have a bank account, just so everybody clear. I have a bank account. I know we need banks. I have a mortgage. I do get money from a bank once in a while. But here's the problem I have. Business owners don't know that there's an alternative and they do not have to go with their bank. They think I have to go with my bank because my bank told me I got to go to Monaris. You do not. You have choices. It's like when your broker says, I can get this insurance policy. Yeah, I don't like that one. Can you get another one? You have choices. Okay? Monaris will never choose PandaPay. Or sorry, Royal Bank will never choose PandaPay to send its clients to. Even though we're better, even though we're cheaper, even though it's better for the business owner, they're never going to do it. So, to the business owners that are out there, I understand why you signed up with who you did, but just know that you have choices. Know that when I knock on your door, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to help you because we're federally regulated just like everybody else. I'm a licensed agent and rep of payment processing in Canada, and I'm actually licensed in Canada and the US. I've been in the industry for 14 years, and I've saved people millions of dollars in fees. I can help you.
Got a question for you.
Go for it.
So if you are getting recurring payments off someone's card, how do you store the information without keeping the information so it can be compromised? In other words,
Absolutely
the BP.
Fantastic question, and I do have a perfect answer. It's called
Excellent.
a virtual terminal. A virtual terminal is a terminal that's online. It's secured by Visa and MasterCard, and we have two different ones. We happen to have the best one in the country. It's called a Nuvei terminal or a Nuvei virtual terminal. It does reoccurring billing. So if you're a gym, a marina, a golf course, or anybody like that, you can take the reoccurring billing. It also has one-time billing, which you can bill your client. They call you with the credit card and you can put it into the portal and it'll ask you for their CVC code on the back and it'll do all that. And then we have a really cool feature. We have one where we can say, hey, Bernie owes me $50 for those business cards I sent him. Okay, perfect. Send him an email. Bernie clicks on it at home, opens it up and says, hey, David sent you an email, you owe him $50, put in your credit card information. It's called forced invoicing or one-touch invoicing, and it allows you to send an invoice to your client through our virtual terminal, secured by Visa and MasterCard, which then tracks the information for you, Bernie, and make sure that you're storing the information properly. Here's the other really cool thing. It avoids fraud as much as possible. Okay, there's still always going to be fraud out there. There's going to be people who skirt the system. But what it does is you open that email at home, it knows it's a known IP address for your house. So it knows, yeah, this is probably Bernie because you're doing it.
Yeah.
Now, it could have been your kid that stole your credit card and he wanted to buy a skateboard, but I don't know. I'm just saying, it's probably pretty good. Okay.
So if I was going to do sales online, like everything through the web page, so there are a couple different e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? And am I paying more than a terminal with card present?
You're not paying more to PandaPay. I will put the preface out there. PandaPay is going to charge you the same amount on your terminal account as we do on your e-commerce account. The only difference is the transaction fee is 10 cents versus 3 cents. What you're paying more for is Visa and MasterCard to do the transaction, okay? Now, anybody that's out there that's ever used Stripe or Shopify or any of these other websites, or Square as an example, or any software that's integrated to their industry, one I can think of is Service Titan, okay? What a lot of the e-commerce kind of companies do is say there's a flat rate. Why? Because they make so much money off a flat rate. So Square will say 2.65, Shopify will say 3% flat rate, whatever it is. And then they encompass it all in one, and that's the fee. Well, as soon as you get over $4,000 or $5,000 a month of processing with them, they're making a boatload of money on that account. They're like the break even on a Square or Shopify client's like $4,000. So e-commerce websites, what everybody needs to know out there about an e-commerce website and how it differs from a virtual terminal. An e-commerce site, you have a website, a gateway, which is the biggest two in Canada, Authorized.net and Bambora. And that gateway is like a key to unlock the door to payment processing. So your website has to go to the gateway, gather the information of the credit card, then ship it off in a secured way over to the processor. So there's a couple of things that have to be done when you're setting up e-commerce. Guess what? It's super easy. I do it all the time. What problem is people don't know who to use and what do I do and what gateway do I go with. Just so we're clear, there's two I would highly recommend. WooCommerce is one, which is the gateway, and we plug into WooCommerce, and another one, depending on your volume and what applications you're using, OpenCart, Magneto, there's Authorized and Bambora, and we're a reseller for every single one of them. I will tell you, WooCommerce is the cheapest one, I believe. So starting up a little business and has a online and they want to start selling sprayers for Pure Fog, that's the one I would want to go to.
So how do you refit a website once you, let's say you got Square or Stripe running for you? How do you refit it so it works for you?
That's a great question as well. Here's how you do it. If you have a Shopify website, you call David Morrell. David Morrell knows a guy, and his name is Mike. And Mike is a web developer that will literally go in and he will capture what your website looks like and exactly make the exact same one and then put it to WooCommerce and attach to us. Because here's the thing, we can integrate to Shopify. We don't do it. Does anybody know why? Because Shopify will charge you 1% if you use us. So they'll get their profit no matter what. They want their money no matter what. And they're a competitor of ours, so they're not going to work with us. They want to get their 1%. That's how they make money. Shopify makes probably most of their profit from credit card processing on small business owners using websites. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they make a lot of it from that.
Very insightful.
Yeah, it's a very unique industry, and Bernie, I have over 700 clients now. I have to update my information page with you. I'm growing every month, and PandaPay itself, we're the largest privately held company in Canada, just so everybody knows, and we have no affiliation with a bank. We are partnered with two very large companies, one being Nuvei, who just had the largest IPO in Canadian history, and the other one being Elevon, the second largest payment processor in the world. That's the other reason why we're licensed and trademarked worldwide. We're trademark and license rated worldwide. We're licensed for processing in Canada and the US, because in the US we're backed by Nuvei as well. So
Danny has a question. What tech do you use for a POS system?
So we have a couple of different POS systems. So just so we're clear, and I'm going to use the terminology, I understand what you're probably asking, but I'm going to clarify for anybody that's watching this. A POS system for some people is a point of sale system. Okay. So when you say POS system, you actually added an extra system because it's a POS, this is as a point of sale system. Some people know that as the terminal. A POS is actually usually a computer screen where you're punching in an order. Okay. A terminal is called a merchant terminal, typically. Okay. So what tech do we use? Meaning what kind of POS do we sell? We have Talic. We have the best one in the country right now called MYR or Kubi. And we have a couple of new ones coming out, but a lot of times we'll integrate to a POS depending on, there's a lot of different things. We're always looking for software connections, the IVRs as they're called, but POS systems, we have Kumi right now would be the number one that we have. We also have Medexa. We're a preferred partner and the only payment processor for Medexa software. That's for people that have clinics. So Yvonne or anybody else, when you have a full-size health clinic, massage therapy, chiropractic, anything like that, Medexa software is a fantastic solution for those people. And the last one I'll mention is, I'm going to try to get the name right. I just read it, but we just released, it's going to be released in July, but we have a new POS direct integration software that's coming for dental clinics across Canada. It's huge in Quebec right now, and they're going to release it to the rest of Canada because they just partner with PandaPay. So anybody that doesn't know, we have offices in Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. We have Montreal head office. I'm here in Ottawa and take care of the Ottawa region. We have Toronto, Quebec City, and we're always looking for new representatives. So if anybody's looking to get into the industry, both in Canada and the US, Michael Balamba at head office is the business development manager. So he hires new representatives to come on. Cute baby, Denny.
Okay, David, I would highly recommend you to somebody who's been very thorough. And I think that's another thing with small businesses, like you said, it's kind of the last thing you think. You know that you're getting into business, you're going to have to collect money and books, and I'm sure bookkeepers hate sometimes small business people, because you're right. Most people are in love with what they're doing. They've got a great idea, and that's kind of secondary. So by the time it gets there, they're not really thinking about it. So definitely education is the key to success in this industry, because we don't know what we don't know, and you get immersed in your business and then you just don't bother. And I'm going to say I'm guilty of that. I remember sometimes looking at my credit card bills going, holy crap, but it was just like you didn't have time to get out of it.
Here's the other thing I'll mention too. Some people don't think they need it. And I'm going to explain very briefly. I've helped a lot of contractors in this city change their business overnight. I had one plumber that I tripled his income the first month I gave him his terminal, because we have terminals that you can put in a truck for contractors and bring with them. So they want to collect payment. I always say to a contractor, how much does it cost to fill your truck? And they'll be like, what do you mean? I'm like, 120, 150 bucks to fill a truck nowadays. I said, my machine cost a lot less than that. And you can put it in your truck and bring it with you and collect your payment right away. Oh, what does that do? It allows you to collect the payment, give the receipt. And here's the great thing. You don't have to go run into the bank to deposit the check. You literally, the money goes in your bank account for you. You've done it all by taking the machine. I had a contractor here in the city. I saved him. He sent me a letter, and I'll share it to you guys with you guys another time. But basically, I increased his sales 21%. His average ticket went up by 42%. And his last thing that he said to me is, I can't even believe how much time this has saved me, not chasing down a check. So a lot of people, they have a great idea, they have a great business, but they're still chasing checks. And that's one of the things we can resolve.
And that's actually an excellent point for business owners, because a lot of times, and especially when you're getting started, you're maybe a little bit more nervous. Okay, I'll get that from you next week or whatever. And a really good tip for anybody starting a business is if they've got the credit card, you want to be able to take that money, because that seals the deal. Otherwise, if it isn't completely sealed, you probably will. People go
Well,
home
it's
24
funny.
hours, they change their mind.
You actually just hit on another point too, because how I increased his sales is because he started getting deposits. Here's the thing. I don't know. Has anybody, Bernie, are you on mute?
Nope.
You hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone furnace shopping? It's the most exciting thing in the world. Getting an air conditioner or a furnace. Listen to that furnace sales guy sell you on the benefits of air circulating through the house. It's amazing. Anybody want to sit through it for 3 or 4 hours? Anybody want to do it 2 or 3 times in a year? No thanks. I don't want to. I never wanted to. When I was selling it, I hated listening to myself. That's why I got out of the industry. But if you're in that industry, here's the thing. If you're the first one in and you can have a professional image and you can tell about your product, and you can pull out my machine and say, hey, by the way, why don't we take a small deposit right now? It's done. It's over. Nobody wants to go any further. I'm not shopping anymore for a furnace. I'm not shopping anymore for a plumber or electrician. I just want the goddamn water in my house to work. You go, you take credit card? Perfect. You can turn my lights back on? Perfect. Okay? People want quick and easy.
I love the way we're ending this meeting, because we're gonna be wrapping it up in a minute. But that is, it's been a great thing, because not only can you save money, but some great business tips here. And like David being in business, that seals the deal. And especially even if you're a small business, just saying, okay, perfect. Here's a credit card. Let's put 50% down. Let's shake the hand. It's done. They're not going to shop anywhere else. You've just made that decision, which is sometimes so painful for people to make.
The assumptive close is one of the best closes ever, because you'll know when you assume the close and ask for the business by saying, how would you like to pay for this? They will tell you the objections if you have not done your job. If you don't have a good product, or you don't have a good solution, they're going to tell you, I'm not interested. I'm going to think about it. Think about it means I'm not interested. I don't know if anybody knows that or not, but I've been doing sales for 29 years. When somebody says, I want to think about it, it means you haven't sold me.
Yeah.
I literally, every time I hear it, I instantly go, I'm very sorry I didn't do my job properly. And people are like, what? I'm like, I must not have explained the benefit of why you want to save money with us, because you're saying you want to think about it. So I apologize.
One other quick question. One other business that I'm involved with, they're using QuickBooks and using the credit card processing in that space.
God, I love QuickBooks, and no, we do not integrate to it yet, Bernie. Where it's coming eventually. I will tell you, the QuickBooks integration is the most painful process that PandaPay has ever started or worked on, because it's QuickBooks. They're difficult. Just so you guys know, I've worked on the largest contracts in the country. I have the largest partnership in the country. I have CPA Canada as one of my clients. QuickBooks is one of their partners, and we still can't make this happen. Like it's heartbreaking. It's going to come eventually, but no, we don't have QuickBooks integration yet. And when we do, it'll be a great partnership. It'll just add to the partnerships we have, but we're always looking for the next big thing. Sage is another one that we're working on right now too. PandaPay has done something very unique, and I know we're going to end, but we're always looking for ways to be better.
Okay.
We're always looking for ways to help business owners. So what we don't have today, Bernie, we're always looking to get it in. If we get enough people that ask for it, we'll go for it. You know what I mean?